Hi, Dan Paladin. And this week I just wanted to kind of maybe put out some information regarding people that might have been affected by the wildfires and displaced, whether it be a primary property or an investment property, and what you might want to look for in your policy. And I'm sure your agents can go over that, but also from the mortgage perspective. One, make sure you make your payments. Just because the home's not there, you still have to make the payments. Uh, Call your mortgage lender or the servicer, see if they can work out a forbearance, how many months they might do that. That's up to the lender, whether they'll do 3 or 12 or whatever. So that would help alleviate obviously some financial stress. Two, um, again, the forbearance, by the way, is they're not going to forgive the loan payments or whatever. They're just going to forbearance means don't pay. They'll work out something, stick them on the back end of the term, something of that fashion, but they're not going to forgive the payments. Now, when looking at your policy, I'll start with a primary one first, and let me grab something for you to see, and hopefully I can do this pretty quick. Um, and let's see here. Let's grab this one here. Okay. So what you're looking at here is a policy um, for a primary property. Coverage A is going to be what they're covering the property for replacement. Other structures would be like a detached garage, even a pool, things like that. Personal property is your things within the property. Um, and the main key, though, is also loss of use. It could also be termed loss of use and ALE, alternative living expenses. So in this case, this client would have 300,000 if they were displaced from their property for a covered loss to live somewhere else. So that's you want to see if you have that coverage and how much. It'll vary by how you set up your policy. And then the other one on rebuilding would be building ordinance or law coverage. What that does is when you have to rebuild, the laws might be different than when it was originally built. And then if you don't have building and ordinance law, if you will, it's not gonna, it doesn't cover having to go to code. So, okay, here's your house, this, that, but oh, the codes are different and it costs more to go to code. So that's a coverage that you can see. It can vary. This one's 25% of coverage A. So if we go to 893,000, it's going to provide 25% of that amount for ordinance law, and meaning bringing it up to code. Um, Extended replacement cost, most policies will have that. So it's an additional 25% on top of the 893. So 893 plus 25% would be an additional full coverage to replace that property. So that's what that looks like. Hopefully you can check your policy. Again, your um, agent should be able to go over that with you. Now let me show you. It's very similar on a uh, investment property. Instead of saying loss of use, it's going to say rent loss, something to that effect, um, versus just loss of use. Loss of use is a term for a primary rent loss, rental income replacement, something of that fashion for an investment property. These other coverages would be the same. You know, you could have ordinance law, the extended replacement costs, and of course, you always have the dwelling and other structures. Typically, personal property is not quite as high on an investment property because you don't have as much stuff in there. You really kind of don't. It's usually all the personal property of the tenant, and they should have renter insurance to cover their stuff. Anyhow, I hope you found this informative. Things to look for in your policy. My heart goes out to all those that were affected and lost their homes. If someone wants to reach out to me because maybe they're having a hard time getting uh, in touch with their agent or their insurance company because they're so busy, um, feel free to reach out and I can, at least look at it, take a peek and tell you what you have or don't have. And if anybody wants a policy review just to make sure that they have sufficient coverages, we can do that too. Um, Anyhow, that's it for this episode. Hopefully you found that informative. Feel free to pass this video along to anybody that might have been affected or you feel the information might be useful. That's it. Make it a great weekend, and I'll see you next time on the Mortgage Morsel.